All right, calculus, here we are for your notes for Monday, September 11th, 2023. Mega trig time, folks. Write this down. This says if sine alpha is 5 over 13, and alpha is in quadrant 2, it's very important, and cosine beta is negative 3/5, and beta is in quadrant 3, find the following. I used to give these questions when I taught pre-calculus back at Mount Olive. These were fun, and they bring the trig identities in play. So if I want to know what sine 2 alpha is, remember that sine 2x is 2 sine x cos x. So sine 2 alpha is 2 sine alpha cosine alpha. I already know what sine alpha is. I need to figure out what cosine alpha is. So that's why I use this information here. Sine alpha is 5 over 13 and alpha is in quadrant 2. So in quadrant 2, I draw an alpha with a sine ratio of 5 over 13. That means cosine's a negative 12 over 13. I gave you some nice Pythagorean triples here. So sine 2 theta is 2 times 5 over 13 times negative 12 over 13. Again, I've got, this is the second of 3 videos I got to make this afternoon now, so you're going to need to pause it. All right, so negative 120 over 169. I usually leave it like that. Okay, now I want to know what cosine 2 beta is. So cosine 2x, it actually has 2 different formulas that are pretty well known. Actually, might have 3. This is the best one. Like, this is the easiest one. Cosine 2x, and maybe you guys proved those last year, is cosine squared x minus sine squared x. It's not cosine squared plus sine squared, because that's 1. But cosine squared x minus sine squared x is cosine 2x. So cosine of 2 beta is cosine squared beta minus sine squared beta. Well, I know what cosine beta is, so I'm going to square it. Minus, I got to figure out what sine beta is. It told me that beta was in quadrant 3 with a cosine ratio of negative 3 over 5. That means this is negative 4. All right, so when I subtract, I get a negative 7 over 25. Okay. Oh my goodness, it's tangent 2 beta. Honestly, folks, I have no idea what the tangent formulas are because we don't really need to know them. Remember, folks, tangent of theta is simply sine over cosine. So tangent of 2 beta is sine 2 beta over cosine 2 beta. And I just found out what cosine 2 beta is. Always use that for tangent. It's sine over cosine. All right, obviously tangent will have its own derivative. That will be easy to memorize here shortly. But sine of 2 beta, so I need to figure out what that is. So sine of 2 beta is 2 sine beta cos beta. And from A and B, I have everything I need to know. All right, that's going to give me a 24 over 25. So notice how cosine, well, we'll talk about where 2 beta is in a second. Anyway, so tangent is sine over cosine. So folks, those 25s are going to cancel, leaving you with 24 over negative 7, which is a negative 24 over 7. And I used to ask, like, what quadrant is 2 alpha? What quadrant is alpha minus beta? What quadrant is 2 beta in? So because you have a negative cosine and a positive sine, you are in the second quadrant. So 2 beta is in the second quadrant. All right, that's pretty cool. So what is next? I know it's a little wobbly, sorry. Cosine of alpha plus beta. All right, so cosine of A plus B is cos A, cos B minus, it's the opposite sign, sine A, sine B. Right, and I know all this. That's cosine alpha, it's cosine beta minus. And the proof, guys, you know, you probably did that proof last year, and we're actually this is gonna be important for us this year when we talk about derivatives very shortly. I made a boo-boo here that really caused an issue because alpha plus beta was not the right quadrant. But a negative, to subtract a negative means to add. I accidentally put negative 16 there for whatever reason. That's 56 over 65. All right. You can pause this when you need to. Just get these notes down. So let's talk about sine of alpha plus beta, and the sum identity for sine is, you know, sine of alpha cos beta plus sine of beta cos alpha. You can also switch them. So like if you wanted to say what's sine of A plus B, you could do sine A cos B, cos A sine B, you know, switch them, and it's the same sign. Or you can go this way. You can put sine A, sine B, cos B, cos A, A, B, or A, B, B, A. Okay, A with B in both. Anyway, here you go. Just multiply. Negative times a negative is a positive, so 33 over 65. So that means alpha plus beta is in quadrant 1, because both cosine and sine are positive. And what's tangent of alpha plus beta? It's simply sine of alpha plus beta over cosine of alpha plus beta. Again, the 65s are going to cancel, leaving you with 33 over 60 over 56. Yeah, so issue there that I had to figure out, because that could not be the case. Alpha plus beta could not be in quadrant 3. All right, there you go. So now we're technically in. We're finishing. There's only actually one or two questions we're going to look at in section 1.3. Okay, chapter 1 is an interesting one there. Some of it's just like modeling and whatnot. We can breeze through it before we get to actual calculus. So given f of x is x cubed plus 2x and g of x is 3x squared minus 1, find f plus g, f minus g, f times g, and f divided by g. And here we got to state its domain. You might have practiced that in Honors Algebra 2 or Algebra 2. So f of x plus g of x, that's what this is saying, is simply f of x plus g of x. I would use parentheses, especially when we subtract. We're going to get that. F minus g, this is where the parentheses is key because you're subtracting all of it, plus 1. F times g, it's FOIL time. Yep. We're adding exponents, remember that. All right, pause this if you need to now. This will be a relatively quick video, but you might need to pause a bunch. F over g. So in college algebra, we were done there. This was a simple question, simply f over g. But now we got to say, hey, what's the domain? What is x not allowed to be? So you can't divide by 0. So we set the denominator equal to 0. We get plus or minus root 3 over 3. So we say, hey, f divided by g is this. But the domain is x such that x doesn't equal plus or minus root 3 over 3. All right, just one extra step there from college algebra. And you might, again, that really should be in like an honors algebra too, so we might have discussed that. Okay, then we have function composition here. This is not new. So there's f of x, it's a line, g of x is a parabola. Find f of g, that's what fog is. G of f of f, and g of g. So f of g is f of g of x. So 3 times what I'm plugging in for x, minus 7. G of f of x is g of 3x minus 7. So I'm going to square it. Plus 3 times what I'm plugging in, plus 4. All right, just a little foiling, a little distribution there. Then we have f of x, and that's not too bad. F of 3x minus 7. Again, check my arithmetic here. I both got to make notes for 3 videos, and then I get to make them. Hashtag blessed. And then g of g, oh boy, g of x squared plus 3x plus 4. Yeah, you might have this in your homework for sure. So I got to square that trinomial plus 3 times it plus 4. So we're going to write this out twice. Okay, and then I did a little distribution here. All right, so x squared times x squared, x squared times 3x, x squared times 4, 3x times x squared, 3x times 3x, that's my daughter screaming. 3x times 4, 4 times x squared, 4 times 3x, 4 times 4. 3 by 3, that's 9 terms, folks. That is 9 terms. Can I even get all this work? Wow. You're gonna need to pause this. Hopefully the wild one is not coming upstairs. The non-wild one, the one with diarrhea, who has to stay home tomorrow. She's behaving and taking a nap. All right, so there we go. Wow, so have that x to the 4th plus 3x to the 3rd. Have that there. You can pause this if you need to. I think that's pretty good. Hopefully no boo-boos were made. All right. 2 more questions. So this is one that I think you'll see on homework and definitely a quiz and test. This chapter. Find f of g of h. Whoa, this might be the first time we've done that. Or maybe tried one earlier. So f of x is that, g of x is x squared minus 7x, h of x is 3x minus 2. So f of g of h of x, we need to figure out what g of h of x is first. So that is g of 3x minus 2. We're going to square it. Minus 7 times 3x minus 2. Take your time with that. So that means I need to do f of 9x squared minus 33x plus 18. So it's just 4 minus 3 times when I'm plugging in for x. That is relatively nice. Okay. And lastly, I was going to show you this one here. This was in your calculus book. Express the function in the form f of g. So capital F of x. A capital F for us later in the year will be an antiderivative. Is equal to 2x plus x squared to the fourth. So we're going to look here first because we're trying to figure out what this is. So if g of x was 2x plus x squared, then f of x could be x to the fourth, okay? Because here's what you're doing. If I write out f of g of x, that means it would be f of this, and then I would plug this into here, and I'd be left with this, and that's what I started with. Okay, so g of x is this kind of inner function, and f of x would be x to the fourth. What I'm plugging in for x raised to the fourth power. All right, folks, that is your notes video. So whenever you finish this, you should you should do more homework. You should do more homework. You can definitely do the f of g of h, and then there's the f plus g, f minus g, f times g, f over g questions you can now do, whether it's homework 1, homework set 1, or homework set 2. Video is done. Goggins Growl. Go Salukis. All right, this is Yak Math Videos. We're signing out.